Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Trader Bacon Show. I'm your host, Gates Adams, and want to welcome you guys back. We've got a great show in store for you today. First and foremost, a couple of things. I wanted to congratulate last week's evaluation winners, Tammy, Karen, and Chang. Congratulations on that. For those of you, if you want to be in the drawing for this week's evaluations, make sure to fill out the form. That'll be in the chat in just a moment. And we'll announce those winners on next week's show. I also wanted to take a moment and announce I have a new podcast available on all of the standard podcast platforms, particularly iTunes and Spotify. It is the Forge Trader Podcast. At some point, I will have some guests on there, but this is mostly me sharing some of the insights that I have learned along the way. So check that out. Let me know what you guys think. I value you guys' feedback and your support, so thank you so much for that. And other than that, we've got a great guest today, Taylor, a.k.a. Mr. Wilson, who's had the opportunity to share a lot of his insight into his trading and his success as a trader with many years' experience. And we'll get into all of that here on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Taylor, good morning, buddy. What's going on?
What's up, buddy? Thank you for having me. Not much. I'm just sitting here watching the charts. What you got going on?
Well, I was watching the charts. I had to put them down for a minute. Didn't have a great start to the day, but we'll see what happens later throughout the afternoon. So,
bit right now.
Yeah, well, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you spending a little time with us this morning. This should definitely be a lot of fun. I know you and I have had a chance to chat a couple of times, and I love the way that you talk about your experience in the charts, and I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people like following you on Discord. Which, by the way, if you want to check him out on Discord, check him out at Mr. Wilson, as you see it written down there under his name. So let's talk a little bit about your background, Taylor. How long have you been trading?
I've been dealing, I guess you can say, in the markets for about 3-4 years now.
Okay.
I started off with the AMC pop that everybody was jumping on board for. I got burned my first jab at it. I made a second attempt and I got really lucky. Made a little over 200,000 in about 5 days. But as everybody has probably experienced, I had a lot of market education and it was expensive. Burned through majority of that, learning that I wasn't Warren Buffett just because I got lucky with the AMC pop. And that slowly worked me over to where I am now with futures, which has been about 1.5 years.
There you go. Yeah, and I think that's one of those lessons. I think a lot of times, and I know I experienced the same thing. I know a lot of other traders have. We have this massive initial pop, and it's like, hey, I'm really good at this.
Yeah, it's a good and a bad thing.
It is. It definitely gives us an opportunity to see what that looks like once we get to the other side. But the other side is definitely going to come at a cost of time, energy, frustration, challenges, money. All of these things are definitely part of it. And if we can actually have that view of the other side, I think that helps keep that motivation stronger in some cases. So you got into futures about 1.5 years ago. How did that transition take place?
So I was actually, I'm really big when it comes to Discord. I was part of a couple different servers and I was trying to learn a lot about options trading. That's primarily what I was doing. And then I ended up switching over to day trading stocks, got burned on that. And then I heard about momentum penny stocks, switched over to that. And then the guy that I was following doing momentum penny stock day trading, he started talking about these prop firms. And to be honest with you, I thought it was a scam. I said, there's no way, this doesn't make any sense. And when I got my first payout last year, that's whenever I realized that it was real. And I've just been hooked ever since, honestly. It's a no-brainer.
Well, obviously you took a leap of faith at some point, obviously not a huge cost associated with taking that leap of faith in the initial stages, but obviously there's that moment of, okay, payout time, is this going to happen?
And I was checking the account every 30 minutes. And when it hit, I was ecstatic.
You know, I know that feeling for sure. So as you've kind of progressed, obviously you've done some equities, you've done some options, you've obviously moved into futures in this manner. Going from one instrument to another, what did you find were the biggest difficulties of transitioning from one to another?
Um, I feel like even though I'm still looking at charts, it's not the same. I mean, everybody who's traded option knows that the Greeks are and at least
Mhm.
for me, that was the hardest part to
Sure.
understand. It would burn me up that I'd be in an options trade. Let's say I buy calls, price is going up, and I'm losing money because it's not going up fast enough. There were a
Right.
lot of things I just didn't understand. And
Mhm.
what I like about futures is once I switched to futures, I'm a believer in just reading price action. I don't have 100 different indicators. I don't have all of this fancy stuff. I just like reading price action. And no, I mean, like anything, I'm not 100% accurate, but statistically speaking, I come out on top, and that's all I care about. Small steps every day.
Well, and I think that's absolutely the mindset that it's critical to understand that yes, no, we're not going to have a 100% accurate system. I think everybody knows this, but it's really hard to remember that in the moment when we're having one of those days.
Oh
So
yeah, when you
definitely
start
want to,
seeing red.
and then of course it's like, well, the flip side of that is you have to not let your stats cloud your vision. I know I've gone
Right.
down this road where I thought, well, I've got an 82% win rate. If I take another trade, it's going to be a winner. And my decision making faltered a little bit in that process. And so while statistically my next trade might have been a winner if I'd stuck to my rules, I didn't stick to my rules. I stuck to the stats. So
Exactly.
always that balance. So ultimately, how did you learn your price action? Like, how did you learn to read price action? Did you work with mentors, coach, course, just hours and hours and hours in the charts?
So unfortunately, I was on the bad end of what I call people selling educational material about the stock market. There are a lot of
Mhm.
people that I did classes with, and I got shafted to say the least. A lot of things I was paying for or trying to learn, I find out after the fact that when I implement them, they don't work like they should because they like to cherry pick examples or they like to show you these three instances where it worked out phenomenally well. And basically, what happened was over the course of the last almost 2 years, I've just been taking bits and pieces from here and there and everyone that I've spoken to or done classes with, and I've kind of pieced them together into what I'm doing now, which is it's a blend of some really basic things. But as far as price action goes, I got into really looking at price action basically stripped down because I got tired of my charts looking like a kid's coloring book with 150 different indicators on them. I didn't even know what I was looking at, to be honest with you. I would just wait for things to align and then blindly take a trade, and it wasn't working. So I knew something had to change, and I just started stripping it down, and it got to where it is now, where there's only two or three things on here, and that's what I like.
Well, and you make an interesting point. I know that a lot of people find a lot of value in indicators, but when you get to the point where there's so many on
Oh
there,
yeah.
the likelihood of all of them lining up at once is nominal. Well, if they all do, of course, great, fantastic. You've got so much confluence, but you miss out on so many opportunities by clouding the waters with so much information that it's just impossible to analyze in a split second. And a lot of
Oh yeah.
times you're just fighting one indicator against another, and it's just hard to find that right entry.
Well, now I don't know about you. I'm sure somebody can understand this. It gets to a point where if you keep learning more and more and more and more, you just getting to be too much. Like if I know for me, if I start looking up new stuff, new stuff, new stuff every day, I'm just gonna keep stacking it on in my head, and then I start overthinking everything because I'm like, oh well, this guy talks about this guy talks about this, and then if they don't line up, I'm having a mental breakdown, and it just throws me off. So I feel like the sticking to what I'm doing, sticking to the basics is what's working for me, and I'm just not trying to mess that up.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your actual trading structure. And, if we want to pull up the charts and have a look at what it is that you see in the charts as your structure, what is it that you're actually looking for when you're in the charts ready to take a trade?
So for the most part, I trade time-based charts. I'm always looking at the 1, the 5, the 15, the hourly, the 4 hourly, and then the daily. And usually what I'm looking for is where the market can find draws on liquidity and how that aligns with the most recent, I'm sure people are familiar with change of character levels or break of structure levels, where the market will actually break out of a current, maybe a small consolidation area or break into new highs.
Mhm.
After retracing on the whatever the most recent leg of price action is. Perfect example is this morning. Price was trading up around, as we know, we opened up at I don't know what the 18 330 area, And then it ultimately ran all the way down into this 18,265-ish area, which on the 5-minute and the 15-minute both aligns with a change of character and a break of structure level. So to me, that was a significant area that the market was going to try to deliver price to in order to find liquidity. Whether we were ultimately going to be pushing higher off of that area or whether price was going to go lower, I just felt like price wasn't going to go anywhere without trying to actively trade in this area. And it doesn't always line up that way. There's nothing that the market absolutely has to do, in my opinion. We're just trying to get in line with what it does. And this morning it worked out well, where once we started breaking down on the 1-minute, and I saw it also following through on the 5-minute, I kind of just jumped in and followed the wave, more or less. I hate to say that I'm a trend trader, but a lot of it, that is what it is. I've also incorporated, as of last week, I've incorporated the tick-based charts and the volume-based charts as kind of like a confluence. And that has actually been doing really, really, really well for me, honestly. I wasn't expecting that. A friend of mine in the Discord that I'm a part of, he was talking about tick-based charts and volume-based charts and order flow, and I'm not familiar with any of that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with order flow or any of the stuff that goes into that. But once I started combining the tick-based charts with what I'm looking at on my time-based charts, things really started lining up well. And I mean, it's still early. It's only been a week, but I'm excited about continuing with this and kind of using that as an extra confluence in my trading, because as much as I don't like to be, I'm primarily a scalper. I do like letting the trade run and breathe, but I'm an impatient person by nature, so I don't like being in a trade for more than a couple of minutes if I don't have to be. I'd much rather close the trade out.
If I hit the minute mark, I'm just in a frame of mind that I shouldn't be in. It definitely can take its toll, especially when you're used to those quicker moves.
Absolutely.
And Clarissa, definitely welcome. Glad to see you. Sorry about that. I just wanted to comment. Clarissa, great to see you in here. So glad that this is helpful. Continue checking us out. Hopefully we continue to bring you more value with great guests like Taylor here, who just have such a depth of understanding that it really brings light to some of the different concepts that maybe we've all seen, but sometimes it's hard to basically put it into action until we see in real time. I mean, it's great to see a video like you were talking about, some sort of cherry-picked situation, but the reality is when we're seeing today's charts, like I saw this happen. So when we start to see this take place, there's just so much more value in understanding what drives those moves. So anyway, I appreciate you sharing that. So let's talk about what actually looks like an entry to you. What triggers you to pull the trigger, and how do you set up your trades?
So a perfect example was this morning when we had the breakdown. I don't have the hourly in front of me, and I'm not going to mess my charts up by pulling it up. But on the hourly, I use fibs a lot for my pullbacks or retracements. So I had the low from Friday morning's drop all the way to this morning's high drawn up, and it gave us this level right here that we can see on the 5-minute between the 18,262.50 and the 18,244 or 245. This was that 5618 golden zone that a lot of people refer to. So I was anticipating price reaching that and then hopefully getting a long off of it. Once we did reach that, the tick-based chart and the volume-based chart, we had a pretty good pop and a reaction out of this area. And once we did, I'm kind of scalping it the whole way down, scalping it the whole way up, because that is primarily what I do. But once we broke out of this golden zone, we made a new leg all the way up to here. We cleared the short-term liquidity from the 1-minute, and we created this bullish fair value gap. I'm sure majority of people have either heard of or they trade with. A lot of people I know do fair value gaps. So I was anticipating the retracement of this leg of price action, which price did. It came in, it respected this area. So now what I'm anticipating is basically a new run on liquidity above these highs that were made on that price leg, and then I'll look for a continuation trade inside of this leg of price action. So I combine these golden zones that I find with my fibs, and I take that. I take the tick chart, I take the volume-based chart, and when it comes to the tick and the volume-based charts, I usually am drawing trend lines, because I know for me at least, I do really well with these trend line breakouts on the tick and volume-based charts whenever they're aligning with a potential breakout on my time-based charts. So I'm usually looking for confluence across the 1, the 5, and the 15.
Mhm.
And then I also do incorporate I keep it in the back of my mind. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the strat. I do use a little bit of the strat, which is basically just a lot of it's going to be short term, like waiting for when I say follow through, like I'm going to look for a strat signal on this 1 minute that could potentially lead to a continuation on the 5 minute, which can ultimately play into a continuation on the 15 minute.
Okay.
And that's how I try to get into these longer 50, 60, 80 point runs that we'll see within Q on a regular
Gotcha.
basis.
Now, how do you manage your risk in your trades?
So I am trading only with Apex prop firms. I don't trade personal accounts, so I am subject to the rules like everybody else. So I believe in the 10% rule of your total drawdown. So let's just say you have a 50K account, $2,500 that you can risk. I'm a firm believer in between 5 to 10% per trade. So, 250 is going to be the top side of what I'm willing to risk. Normally, I don't go into a position with more than a 20-point stop loss, but sometimes a 30-point if I'm looking for a really long-term trade that has potential to run from maybe 80 to 100 plus points.
Right.
But if I am going in with a 30-point, I'm cutting my position size in half. So I'm only going to risk 5%. And I will actually look to average into the play once we start to run in my favor. I don't average in the losers. I only average in the winning trades. That's just something that I do. That's from personal experience. I cannot tell you how many times I've averaged into a losing trade only to double how much I lose and then ultimately hit stop loss. And then it just makes me mad. And I can swallow a half position 30-point loss. But then, like, if I hit 2 or 3 of those, it's not going to blow me out of the water. But if I can catch one that gets a good run and I can average into it for a full size position, full stop loss in the profits, and then let it ride, then it's better for me in the long run.
There you go. And I think psychologically speaking, it's easier to make a more sound decision when you're adding into a winning trade than you are to a losing trade. We all get into that. Let me see if I can fix this versus let me see if I can find another proper entry. And,
right.
So even if you feel like you're seeing it in the moment, hindsight, of course, always tells us, hey, that wasn't as clean as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a better decision there.
Exactly. But a perfect example is right here. When price reached this golden zone, if it would have knifed through, if I just blindly took a trade off of this gap or off of the 50 level and price knifed through and hit my stop loss, then okay, it hit my stop loss, statistical loss. Now, if it hits it and bounces and I see, let's say I would not have taken an entry here, but I see a setup for what would have been an entry off of this entry. Well, that's a continuation in my opinion, and that's a good spot for me to add in. And I can add in and then move stop loss into profits, even with my new average, and I'm safe. If I get closed out for 5 points of profit, oh well, I'll catch the next one. At least it's not a loss. And I'd rather catch 2 to 5 point wins than 1 30-point loss, honestly.
100%. Now, do you have a set target that you're shooting for the day, or do you just kind of trade your hours? How do you manage your time?
Yeah, normally I'm in Central Time Zone, so market open is at 8:30. I typically get on about an hour before 8 market open, especially if we have news. I may not trade the news, but I like being here and physically watching the candles play out. I feel like that's a really big thing. A candle can just looking at how a candle closed, in my opinion, doesn't tell you how that candle played out and how price moved in there. I like to be able to actually watch it. So I usually start about an hour before market open, and I'm usually done by 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern is usually my cutoff. If I haven't gotten what I like out of the market, I might stay for another 30, 45 minutes, but that's usually my cutoff. That's just personally, I get burnt out, honestly, sitting here doing it after that point.
It absolutely can be very wearing, and I think a lot of times we just have to figure out what works best for us. Not to mention, if you go back to afternoon trading, when you're used to morning trading, the market moves very differently. What you see in New York Open is not necessarily what you're going to see in New York afternoon or Asia or whatever the case may be. So while there is an opportunity to trade virtually 24 hours a day, that experience with that particular time of day, I think makes a huge difference. It's not just, hey, the market does this particular move any particular time of day.
Yeah. And then as far as the profit target goes, I don't really have a set profit target. I'm a firm believer in small incremental days. They add up
Mhm.
over a longer period of time. So I'm content with $100 to $200 on a given day. Honestly, I'm not trying to hit grand slams here. Base hits
Sure.
is all I need.
There you go. There you go. I think very, very valuable advice. We have posted back up there again, just for the record, the evaluation, the form to fill out. Make sure you fill that out if you want your shot at one of the 3 free evaluations that we'll be giving away from this show. So let's talk a little bit about where you've gone. Now you're not just a trader, right?
No, sir. I'm also a full-time firefighter. And this is what I'm trying to transition into full time. I'd ultimately like to be able to leave the department, but that's a long-term goal.
Gotcha. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for that service. I know that it takes a very special type of person to take on that sort of responsibility. So I do thank you for that. So as you start to look at what this transition looks like, what is it that you see that your life looks like past the department? Once you kind of get to the point that you're looking to get to, once you make that transition, what is that goal that you're shooting for in terms of lifestyle, in terms of how you live your life as a trader?
As far as my day to day goes, this is what I love to do. Even when I'm at the fire station, this is what I'm watching on my phone. If we're not busy doing training or working or on calls or anything, this is what I'm doing. I'm either talking to my wife or I'm on the charts or the same thing, or at the same time. Those are the 2 things that are most important to me: is family and just stability and comfortability. And that's with everything: finances, stress, just everything. So
Mhm.
my long-term goal, if I can get away from the department, is just making sure that my family's taken care of. Me and my wife would love to travel. We're
Mhm.
foodies. We love to try new things. We love to cook, and that's what we talk about every day: is where we're gonna go whenever I am able to finally leave the department. What we're gonna do, what we're gonna cook, where we're gonna go eat. That's what we love to do. Um, so that's honestly what drives me and makes getting up every morning worth doing, and sitting down and doing this, and that's the biggest thing for me.
I've talked to so many traders at this point in the last couple of years, hundreds literally, and I see the 2 sides of the coin. I see the traders that get to the point where, they make a living trading and they can't step away, where they have this dream of all this flexibility, this travel, and a couple hours in the charts, and then they end up spending 10 hours a day looking at charts, watching videos, and this and that, and it becomes this, I don't want to say obsession, but it starts to take over. It becomes such a compulsion that they forgot the whole goal that they had going into it. And then I see the other side of the coin. I've had some people on the show who literally their life is travel. Like, they don't have a home base anymore. They'll travel from one country to another country to another country. As long as they've got a solid internet connection, they fund this lifestyle through being in the charts for an hour, hour and a half a day max. And
Yeah,
so I love the idea that, okay, look, we've got, I'm married. I want to leave the department. I want to create this stability. In that stability, this is the lifestyle that I want. It doesn't have to necessarily be, a mansion at the top of the hill or whatever the case may be. I want to go eat really great places. I want to get really, really high quality food, and I want to see some cool places with my wife. To me, that's a lot of the same sort of mindset that I have as I move forward through this process. I owned a mattress shop for over 20 years. And I didn't take weekends away because it was retail. You just don't do that. I didn't travel. We never took a honeymoon. We were just having this conversation. And when I made that transition out of that, that was my number one goal. Is I don't want to be tied to a location. I don't want to be tied to, a specific routine, to where I can actually take the time and live that quote unquote lifestyle that I'm looking for. And it sounds like
absolutely,
that's kind of what you're looking for as well.
absolutely.
Is there like a top 10 list of places that you're looking to get to?
No, we don't have anything that like nothing that we've said. Oh, we're definitely doing this or definitely doing that. It's just the idea of everywhere we will be able to go. And the biggest thing is having the time, because with the fire department, I'm on every 3rd day, and it's
Sure.
every 3rd day. So it makes it difficult to plan stuff. It makes me miss family stuff, birthdays, holidays, stuff like that. So it's the idea of not having that stress and that's sitting on top of me and allowing me the freedom to to spend that time that I ultimately want to with my family. And
Right.
us to go do whatever we want to do is definitely not a downside.
That's definitely one of the bigger pluses. Now, you obviously, we've talked about, you started, you've got a Discord channel where you stream your actual trades, right?
Right. So the page is actually called Market Mages. It's a future-based page. It's a couple of guys that had another server, and it was a little bit of everything, and they wanted something that was more futures-oriented, and it's a phenomenal place. Great community. We have a bunch of local analysts. Majority of the analysts are in-house, so they're easy to talk to. We have a ton of educational material. It's really a great group of guys. And I mean, I'm in the community, so I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but they know me well enough that I don't have a problem saying the truth. And sure. I enjoy being with these people. It's like a small family. It's still growing. It's in the newer phases, but I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it moving forward. But I do streams every morning, live trading between 7:30 and around 10 Central, 8:30 to 11 Eastern, where you see exactly what I have up here, my charts, and I'm just talking about what I see and what I feel and taking it day by day.
So if you guys want to see Taylor actually trading in the mornings, just search him out on Discord. You see how he's got his name written on there, Mr. Wilson, with no spaces and the 1 for the I. I guess in a 0 for the O, correct?
Yes, sir.
There we go. So definitely check him out. Obviously, he's got some great insight. I think that one of the things that I've seen is the people who do stream their trading that are so open with what it is that they're doing. There's just so much more value, I think, from that than obviously finding cherry picked, videos of charts that fit the ideal mold, so to speak. And so to me, I love the idea of watching somebody trade. If I want to get a better handle on a certain concept, I want to watch somebody trade it. I don't want them to explain it to me after the fact. I want them to talk about it while they're, I want to hear what that thought process looks like. And to me, that's one of the huge values of being able to watch somebody trade live. So I highly encourage you guys, go check them out. I know I'm going to check them out. I'll have them on the other computer while I'm sitting there trading, and maybe we'll find some confluence there. But definitely appreciate you taking some time and spending that with us today. Fantastic insight and just such a valuable showing us what you're looking for in your charts and everything like that. Go check that out. For the rest of you guys, of course, just want to remind you guys, fill out that form, get your chance to win that evaluation. Also want to let you guys know through the month of May, Apex Trader Funding is doing 80% off all evaluations in 1 day to pass. So take full advantage of that while it's up. I know they did it all of last month. I don't expect that to be a continuation. So while it's cheap, take advantage. Make sure to use promo code Benzinga at apextraderfunding.com. You can also check them out at atf.com if you're a slow typist like me. So Taylor, thanks, man, so much. I really, really appreciate it. Loved getting this time to spend with you, and want to see continued success. I'm definitely going to be checking you out on Discord, man.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for the opportunity. It was fun. I like talking with you, so it was easy.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate it. Definitely keep in touch with me. Let me know what's going on. I want to hear when you're ready to start making some of those trips.
Absolutely. We're going to have to do something.
There you go. All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all showing up. Check us out next week. We will have another great show for you then. Also, when you get a chance, go check out the Forge Trader podcast. I've been having a lot of fun with that. 5 episodes out already. New episodes landing on Thursday. So make sure to check that out and let me know what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon.